All right. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Evil Charisse, if I'm saying that correctly. Milan, about maybe a minute early. Nonetheless, we're going to get this party started. It looks like I'm streaming loud and clear, so just would love a confirmation from you guys. Tamlin, Gregors. All right, can you guys hear me? Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. So I'm just gonna pop out this chat and I'm gonna get this started because essentially this is all going to be available on demand for you to watch later as well. So I'm super excited about this subject matter, right? Super cool dealing with multicolor fonts, right? Okay, so let me just move that over. There we go. Hello everybody, Wasim, again broadcasting from Denver, Colorado. Of course, it's actually May 5th today. Yesterday was May the 4th, so I created some icons and some emojis, and this kind of dovetails into that. All right. Gary, thank you so much. Well, hopefully I'll be in Montreal toward the end of the year. It'll be super fun. All right, so let's dive into this because I have some crazy stuff going on in here, as you can see. And really, we're going to be creating multicolor fonts. And this is all gonna sort of actually start in Illustrator, but I'm really gonna use Photoshop and Fontself to make the font and turn it into a multicolor font. Okay, because that's what I want to do, and a lot of times you probably will be using sort of the exactness of Illustrator to create fonts. Okay, so that's kind of why I'm starting out here, essentially. So video might have a slight lag, but hopefully it's all right. So cool. All right, so again, here's what I've created. Created Groot the other day, also Star Wars again for May the 4th. And again, how can we turn these actually into fonts? Or how can you make your own? So I'm going to do this really fast because I thought it'd be kind of fun just to show you how you can quickly make a font in Illustrator. And then we'll bring it into Photoshop and then we'll use Fontself and we'll be off into the races. Because really the big key thing here is the fact that Photoshop can use multicolor fonts. I don't know if you guys realize that, but again, launching Photoshop, if I go into, hold on, wait for it, glyphs right in here. Let's just turn off a lot of these files. So I do have some of this already prepared because let's face it, you don't need to see me do these things 23, 26 different times. But you can see that obviously we have glyphs right over here, and these are actually take a look at it. Scrolling up, yes, plenty of fonts. Apple color emoji, right? So that's what, this is a multicolor font. You can see it right in here. Okay, I can scroll through all of these. Again, it's cool that we can now make these using Fontself, using Photoshop. All right, so let's dive into this, guys. Okay, again, starting back in Illustrator, because it's just going to be easier, right? So here's, again, just sort of using, another font, and we won't necessarily get into any sort of legal restrictions. Just make sure you're covered legally and all that stuff, because obviously I'm using this font called Prohibition, but you might want to start somewhere. So this isn't being done from scratch, but once you've created your font, and I just want to show you how you can quickly do this, taking this font, Prohibition, 3D, extrude and bevel, by the way, is what I'm going to do to this, because I want to make something kind of interesting. Again, these are quick pro tips. Okay, what am I doing? Preview, bop. Making my own font any way I want, and you can see I'm going to do isometric left. Okay, so you could already see how that looks. All right, clicking OK. A little bit of fractals there, but essentially I've already made this font. Okay, so I made these graphics. Again, just using 3D capabilities in Illustrator. It's actually pseudo 3D. What's up, Hughes, Lindsay, awesome. So let's dive into this. Boyd, good to see you, buddy. Philip, awesome. So again, that's all I've done is I've just created an isometric font. Once I've done that, I can expand appearance. And again, just pro tips in Illustrator, just so you're well-rounded as a designer. Going into and opening up color. I'm going to open up actually right over here, color guide. because I'm just quickly going to color this. So I want to give this a multicolor look, okay? And this is just an easy way to do this. I don't know if you guys know about recoloring artwork, but essentially I'm mapping all those blues to these various colors. So again, multicoloring it. Let's throw some brights in there, huh? Why not? Look at it, you can see that pop, okay? Again, in Illustrator, right? Yeah, you hated how the, yeah, so, all right, so let's dive into this. So I could have actually changed some of the colors or some of the lighting. It's probably what I should have done, just because I'd actually want the front to be bright. So this even looks pretty good because I like how these letters are legible. In fact, I'm gonna roll this back a little bit. Okay, it's nice that I can still come in here, and thanks to appearance panel, going back into 3D extrude and bevel, previewing that, because I'm noticing that the extrude depth is pretty extreme, and I really want that to be, I don't know, 20 or 10, just because I think I want the letters to fit together nice and neat, right? So that sort of along those lines is something more along the lines of what I want, right? So I'm just going to change the highlight as well. Okay, so that looks better. I want that light on that font. Clicking OK. Let's expand its appearance. Boom, done. Going into recoloring artwork. Click. I want to map that to something brighter. I can do that. Again, recoloring artwork is just a quick way to kind of get something fun, and that's all I'm doing here. This is getting something fun. Is that reasonable? All right. Pentagram. Ooh. All right, I'm going to go with this one. I think this looks cool. What's up, Kathleen? Good to see you, my friend. I haven't talked to you in a while, so. You want to get to how to get rid of the binding of the 2D preview. So if you expand appearance, that's essentially what's going to happen, right? Clicking OK, and there it is, right? So select these, obviously, it's selecting all of them, ungroup, boom, and now I have my whole alphabet in a pretty quick fashion in general, right? Done, done, and done. Let's move on because we're just making our font right now. Again, using handy Illustrator. And yes, we're going to use Photoshop because I know it's in the description, right? So this is what I do. It's like, I'm going to just drop this into my library. Okay, so I just created a new library. I could start labeling each one of these. This could be A, this could be B, this could be C. You guys get the idea. But this is how I'd start to create each one of the characters. Yes, Kathleen, you've been a little MIA. I think you moved. Did you move to? I don't know if you want to say in front of everyone, but I know you might have moved within the past year, and we haven't talked since then. So anyway. Creating these, so what I'm doing right now is these are actually creating library items, okay? So these are my library graphics right over here. And what's cool about this is I could change these at any time and it's gonna update, if it's in Illustrator or if it's in Photoshop or whatever. So that's why I like doing things this way. Again, it just gives me this ability to have sort of this global or, sort of one source for all of these different characters. Again, I'm only going to do maybe up to L, just so you're not bored to tears as I do each one of these. J, K, L. Again, you don't need to see me do this 26 times, do you? Yeah, you moved to a place. And yes, hopefully I'll see you at Max. Okay, by the way, the reason I'm actually starting out in Illustrator as well is, I'm actually inspired by some of the 3D work and really her use of the blend tool, Keitra Dean Dixon. So this is just a quick shout out, by the way. Keitra Dean Dixon kind of has inspired me. So you can see some of her lettering. So this lettering she's done for the New York Times. And I'm thinking, okay, this is where this all came from, by the way. So again, Keitra Dean Dixon, this is her work. And you can see how, again, how cool it is. But look at this. How would you like for that to be a multicolor font, right? So this is what has inspired this tutorial today, okay? And by the way, this is a quick shout out. And I'll give you a quick preview, by the way, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'm just going to mute the audio, muting that. But we have a video going live at noon Pacific time where we interview Keitra and how she does all of her amazing work. So that's just a quick shout out, quick promo, because again, I really like the work that she does, and ultimately I want to see this as a multicolor font. It's begging for it, right? So again, this is the poor man's version, the non-Keitra version is what I'm doing. Okay, can you drag and drop them all at once? You cannot, because then it's all going to be in one library item. So I wish you... We need to give you something to do, and that's the one thing you have to do is drag them letter by letter. But the nice thing is actually I don't even have to worry about naming these. Sure, I would love to. It's like naming layers. Yeah, I should probably do it, but you know, for the sake of time, I'm not going to sweat it. Cool. Yeah, I should probably fast forward the clip. And again, it's just a tease, guys. Look for that at noon, by the way. So coming up pretty soon. Again, you can kind of go through, and obviously she's done a lot of like crazy work. She's worked with sort of real items as well. That's actually wax that she's layered. She's made a doubloon. We actually showed her Illustrator. That's actually Illustrator 88, where the blend tool was originally introduced, and had her work in it. So that's part of that video. And then we also get to see how she does that and how she actually even uses scripts to create work as well. So that's the full promo. Okay, so you can see that sort of multicolor banding, really cool. Okay, so enough of that promo. All right, so next up, have all these synced. It's just called My Font. Boom. Guess what? It's going to be in Photoshop. So if I click over, go to my library panel, I'll go to My Font. Sure enough, here they are. And let me just kind of move all these over. Kind of hide that. All right. So here they all are, all of my each of my individual library items. Okay, so I can drop those in. One thing I can do, since somebody mentioned sort of doing everything at once, this is typically what I'll do with all of these, is I could select them all at once and drop them into Photoshop, and then just start hitting return to place them. Right, they're all placed. Done and done. Transform. Right? Again, it's not a font yet. They're actually just symbols that are in my library. Okay, so if I change it in here, it's going to change everywhere. Done and done. Ooh, Brett has a good point. I'm glad you guys are having a little convo. Yeah, so you can change this list. So here's list, and then here's icons. The reason I like this, Brett, and you know this, but I like that this actually shows when I switch to the list view in libraries, is it actually shows what it was created in. So it might say Illustrator, SVG, or whatever else. So I kind of like that. But you can see everything there, and it'd probably be easier to name things this way, so I can jump in and just, you know, whatever, type L in here for L. Yeah, fancy. All right, going back, here are all my various characters. Again, rather than having, if I'm making some layout, typically it means, you know, pushing each one of these characters around if I wanted to make a cool design, right, based on this new character. So, okay, and again, Diego, if you want to know how are these made, you should just rewind the video, because I just showed everybody how. So it's just extrude, expand appearance, drag into the library, now they're in Photoshop, okay? So even once they're in Photoshop, I could do more with them if I want to, if I care to, you know, add a drop shadow. Okay, you need to know the magnifying glass. Okay, magnifying glass, that is actually just a quick little, a little extension that I can never remember the name of. It's probably called Magnify or something like that. Oh, it's called Loop. It's called the Loop tool. So that's what this is. Again, it's just an extra little app that will allow you to actually have a loop on your desktop. So it's called Loop, L-O-U-P-E. All right, you got it. Let's move on, guys. Going into Fontself Maker, what are we going to do? We're going to create a new font. Boom. Just drag and drop your letters here. Can it be that easy? I don't know. We're about to find out. Drag, drop. I'm adding all my own sound effects lately. Right, this is A, so I'm going to say, hey, you know what? You are an A. Okay, so there it is. A, again, Fontself Maker for Photoshop. Okay, the reason I'm using Photoshop is it's going to allow me for multicolor fonts. There is Fontself Maker for Illustrator, but it doesn't allow for multicolor fonts yet. But Franz there, good to be connected with him today. He actually says that's coming soon. So yes, Philip, OS, Mac has it built in, but it zooms the whole screen, and I just want to kind of maintain your focus in one area. All right, stream status is good. Sorry somebody lost the stream, but stream status still looks good on my end. So, let's get this party started. I'm just checking it on another device just to make sure. All right, guys. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Phil. It's in accessibilities and preferences. So I used to use that all the time. In fact, I have it set up right here. That's what it does. Zooms the whole screen. All right, done and done. Let's move on. We drop in B. Boom. There's B. You got it. Boom. Easy. C. Okay, notice how it says, hey, you can batch anything. So this could be letters. Of course, it could be numbers. It could be any sort of punctuation, anything like that. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Yeah, Philip, thank you, my friend. It's amazing how many people don't know that, because I love zooming in, and I think it's just because I'm getting old. I literally will zoom in on things, like just not even to show anyone, just so I can read things better. So yes, I need those accessibility preferences, which is funny. C, D, pop. Right? Can this be any easier? There's a little bit more to this. I'm making this, of course, look super easy because it is, but there are more controls that you have, okay, as we dive into this. Because if I take a look, first of all, notice how I can actually adjust the kerning right here for the A. So I can drag this over and say, hey, you know what? Give this A lots of room. So that's what I can do. It's like, give this A lots of room over here on either side. But by default, I like how it gets it nice and tight, because that's exactly what I want. Just like go from pixel to pixel, edge to edge, essentially, right? So again, that gives you that ability. We have leading down below, as you can see, and I can always remove any one of these characters, because I've definitely screwed up things and dropped in a character and it was the wrong character. So RG3 in the house, Robzilla. We need a Robzilla font. That's what we need. I want to see each of the 26 characters drawn out looking spectacular, thanks to you, Rob. Right, buddy? Can we do that? E, done. A, B, C, D, E, F. Again, just moving through this really fast, answering questions. Okay, so what I will do is I could actually post... and just so we're on the same page, guys, I said this is done using Fontself. And this is just a shout out to them, but here it is, Fontself. Okay, so I'll just post this link. Again, doesn't, we just like them, but Fontself, there you go, guys. Boop. Cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? And isn't this a gorgeous font? Look at that, gorgeous, right? Who doesn't want this, right? You create it once, and, again, it's going to be available in Photoshop. Now, keep in mind, for all the Adobe apps, as far as the Adobe apps are concerned, it's just available in Photoshop, and I hope to see it elsewhere. You can see Illustrator, of course, is just going to be sort of one color, depending on the color that you pick, but you have multicolor right there. So, quick shout out to them. Thank you so much. Boom. Let's move on. F, G. Let's throw some fun things in here. I'm already kind of bored with this, by the way. Characters? Really? Yeah, I could do A, B, C, G. I could do all this sort of stuff. You guys get it, right? Let's go into... Let's grab something else. Let's grab something else. It's kind of fun. Here we go. Right on, right? So it doesn't matter what you create. And I'm dropping this in to say, hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be a letter. It could be anything. So I know, I get it. Ego, geez, get over your bad self, right? But again, I showed people how to make emojify yourself. So, so that's why I'm dropping this in, okay? Again, could be anything, doesn't have to be a character. Thank you. Hey, Mohammed, what's up, buddy? All right, dropping this in. I could batch this. This could be something else entirely. In fact, you know what? I think I will give it a special punctuation character. So pumpernickel bread, they can't like overlap, and I wish they could. So that's going to be up to you. We can take a look at that though. I wanna actually see how that overlaps because I think that's a great question. And see, I already dropped myself in there twice, and I just want it to be once, and I want it to be the exclamation point, right? So the exclamation point is me. Since we were doing, check this out one more time. Boom. Yesterday was May the 4th. Why not? Jump over. I made this guy yesterday. This was on the Illustrator Facebook page, so feel free to, you know, like us there or follow us there. But if I paste this in, by the way, I did a copy and paste. If I paste it in, I can paste it in as a smart object, and it will add it to my current library. Okay, so that's what I might want to do. Boom, boom, there he is. He's a different size, okay, so maybe I want to scale him up. But now we're going to have Darth Vader as part of my special fonts collection of ridiculousness, right? There we have. There we have it. Yes, need to work on the kerning. So the kerning, this is going to be interesting, Philip. I want to see how it actually overlaps. I think that's a good question. I'm going to put him as a question mark because I don't know, like dark side, you know, you go, what, light or dark? It's kind of like the way, maybe I would go to the dark side because that's how I like my workspace. My workspace in general is dark, so maybe I'd end up on the dark side, who knows. All right, so you can see my fun font. You can see these different characters. I have other fonts made as well, but here all I'm going to do is going to keep this simple. I just need to export this, and let me just double check to see if there are any other questions. Let me know. So. Yeah, so let's just export this and I'll dive into more things. So we'll call this Paul's Fun Font. That's what we'll call it. And give me 1 second. Oh yeah, super chill music. It's like I feel like I'm at the spa, right? Sully, how you doing? Yeah, so it will reflect how big it is when you use it. So that's why I'm making sure everything is the same size. Okay. Notice how it's creating an open type font, OTF, putting it on my desktop. Okay. I can open that exported font. It actually gives me that ability. You can see it right here. Actually, let me just close this. Let me double click it. Did I make? I gotta see why those guys are not. Oh, it's probably just giving me a quick preview is what it's giving me so far. Okay, so I'm going to install font. Yeah, I would love, if I worked for Fontself, maybe I can give away something. Diego, sounds like a great idea. Ooh, did I not identify any character? Ooh, you guys are good. This is why you guys are awesome. By the way, who picked that up? I would give you something if I could, if I had anything free. But Al says, hey, you know, you didn't identify the F. And he's exactly right. A minor detail, especially when you're going really fast. These characters didn't even come in. I can do H, right? Let me actually export this out. And new font. And this happens to me all the time, by the way. You do have to keep outputting like a different font each time, okay? And I really wish there was maybe some sort of connection or whatever, like, you know, if it was there more of a connection, that'd be great, but there it is. So it's showing that character and the F is there as well. So installing that font, we'll see that in here as well. Okay, cool. Super easy, guys. Okay, identifying the font or each character for this font. Again, just originally creating them in Illustrator. I'll actually just turn all of those off. They look pretty gorgeous so far, but let's type in. Let's make sure they're all caps because capitalization matters. Okay. Right. ABC, selecting these. What did I call it? Paul's Fun Font. And again, I just made a couple and you can see them right there. Okay. A, B, and C. And again, this is a font. Now, somebody mentioned kerning, and I want to see how this works with kerning. Boom. Oh, I love this. Look at how we could stack this. I was hoping it would work this way. Oh, I love this. I love this, guys. All right. I might be a little overexposed. You know what I do? I overexpose my camera just because it helps makes it look like I have a clearer skin than I do. That's what the overexposure is all about. And actually, I want my black shirt to blend in with the black of the bar. So that's why that's happening. Full transparency happening here. And again, what did we do? Kerning works, by the way. It does that overlap. I was hoping it would. I'm glad we tested this. This works fantastic. Thank you so much for Cosimo for answering as well. So hit subscribe down below. Also on Facebook, I could post that link as well. If you guys, since I mentioned the emojis, the Star Wars emojis, did that on the Facebook Illustrator page, and we'll be doing live streams there. So what you want to do there is make sure you hit like and all that good stuff, and hit follow for Illustrator and the Creative Cloud page. Again, that's from yesterday, by the way, so you could always tune into that and check that out. I'll just shamelessly only reason the camera loves me is I've overexposed my footage. All right. So diving into this, again, I love this. I'm going to switch to a font that I already have created, by the way, because again, just fast forward. I've actually added some other fonts. We can see them right up here. I think I called it My, so that's the big thing, is remembering what you called it, My. Man, I can't remember what I called my font that I made earlier. Let's click over here. Here it is. Here's the font that I made earlier, right here. See it right here? It is my test font that I made this morning. Notice how it's a different color. I can shrink it, increase the size, right? Everything looks good so far. Adjusting the kerning, okay? Sort of stacking that accordingly. You can see everything pretty much lines up. You can see that's kind of the color, again, kind of, you know, whether it looks good on that background is TBD. But essentially, you know, I'd start to add this to my composition in any way I want. Okay, so again, it's just a stacked font. I'm going to show you another fun font. I have a couple installed. It's just a matter of finding them right now, to be honest with you, because I've made them before, and they should be in here. Okay, so technically what I think I actually could do is I could use the Apple Color emoji too. Those fonts right in here. Here's a croissant. Why not? Okay, here's another example of just a gorgeous color font. It's the Apple Color emoji font built into Photoshop CC 2017. Okay, keep that in mind, because if you don't have CC 2017, you're not going to see this. So make sure you're updated, and you guys will be good. Cool. Okay, Rufus, thank you for joining me. If you align all letters in a single row and transparency layer, you can import all letters in a single operation. You're blowing my mind right there. Boom. I didn't know you. I figured if you drug it into, and we're talking about. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're exactly right, Rufus. You are exactly right. Yeah, so if you line all letters in a single row, yeah, you can import all letters in a single operation. That is true. I think that's for Illustrator. I guess it will work for Photoshop as well. I know it will work for, yeah, I know it will work in Illustrator. I don't know about for Photoshop, but that's a good call. Okay, so again, just kind of showing you that you don't have to do flat colors. Obviously, you have Apple Color emoji right here, okay? And that comes through just fine. But notice as I scale it up, I'm not sure what size this is, by the way. I'd be curious as to knowing. But notice as I scale this up, as I scale up this font, scaling it up larger. Let's scale it up really large. You could see the pixelation going on, okay? So it is going to adhere to the resolution that you have them at. So that's why I brought them in. When I brought them in, I didn't bring them in small. They're like this size, sort of the largest size I need them at, you know? And you can clearly see that these guys were at a smaller resolution when they were made. Again, it's the balance of file size versus clarity and all that stuff. Chances are I might not need to make this big. I mean, again, after all, it is a font. It's not meant to be a huge portfolio piece. It should be smaller, just like that. Okay, let me just take a look at some of these other. I have some other fonts that are loaded in as well, but you can see them all right here. Apple Color Emoji. Also pointing out that, let's just see if some of these have some alternates, and I guess they do not. I was wondering about how to integrate an alternate, but you can see as I've selected that one, this is actually showing me the entire font with no alternates for selection. I didn't know what that would be anyway. All right, cool. So again, just to recap, again, I've used Fontself Maker. Let's make sure I've covered everything. And kind of went through all of the various settings again for each one of these letters. Again, I've kept it simple. Yeah, and obviously there's the batch button. So now let's take a look. Again, I don't know what else you guys want to see, but any one of these could actually be part of my library that can then in turn be part of my font. It's just a matter of getting them into Photoshop, and that's the key. It's like make sure that they end up in Photoshop right here in order to add him to my particular font. Okay, so this guy, Fontself Maker. B, well, no, let's just go with O. Give him an O. What I'm going to do now actually for this guy, because for none of these I didn't add any sort of like drop shadow or a bevel or anything like that. But if I did want to add anything to it, again, just keeping this simple. Notice how I'm just giving it some depth thanks to bevel and emboss. Okay, so that's what that looks like now. I'm actually going to drop this in here now, just grabbing the layer. Wait for it. Notice how it actually carries over that bevel and emboss. So you can add as many effects on it as you want, or create something from scratch in Photoshop and turn that into a font. Also pointing out the size difference, by the way, right down there. You can see that you got to really adhere to the size of these because it's not in proportion to Darth Vader. But then again, nobody is. I mean, that's Darth Vader right there. Yeah, supports transparency. So yeah, those are the real Apple glyphs, and yes, they will be pixelated. And that's what that's about. Cool. All right, guys, that's about it. I'm going to wind down, and I'm checking to see, yeah, cool Boba Fett, right? It's pretty sweet. So I made these yesterday. I didn't actually make him. I already had him pre-made. There was, I did Luke Skywalker and some of the others, right? So that's the short of it there. But I like this because I just think kind of outside of the box with these. Of course, they could be fonts. They could virtually be pretty much anything and stored as a font if you want to. But quite frankly, I typically use libraries. And I want to grab fonts. Here's another font, and I didn't make this font, but I really liked it. I actually forgot where I got this, to be honest with you. I actually got this font, I don't know, maybe from Creative Market. I thought this was like really cool. This also kind of course, influenced mine. But again, this was just one Illustrator file that I actually turned into a font as well. So I did that again with artwork that was not mine, just as an FYI, but it made it easier for me to work with when it kind of came to making designs, all right? And in the end, what do you end up with? Something kind of like, wait for it, this, turning this on. So again, a little bit different, but again, you can see how it could be integrated or used amongst a design. And again, this is a quick shout out to the hashtag Make It, shall we say. We got this video going live today, actually. Again, inspired by Keitra Dean Dixon because she's awesome and she talks about a lot of this stuff. And what she also gets into is scripts. So I think that'd be a fun conversation for a future stream, which I'm sure we will have, is working with scripts in Illustrator, which I think is really fun. So it's like adding randomization in terms of colors as well as position, rotation, and all that fun stuff. So Lee, you can share those fonts. I guess I could share mine, but my font is actually not. It only has 26 letters, and they're all caps. So yeah, I could share that with you guys if you guys want. I'm gonna just go ahead and post it to Twitter. So if you guys are just following me on Twitter, that would be great. Okay, so my Twitter handle is Paul Trani, and you can see me right here. So that's where I'll post my font in case you guys want to take a look at it. I kind of feel like I need to tighten it up, but that's coming soon just to give you an idea. Keep in mind you're going to need Photoshop CC 2017 latest version to be able to load it in and see all of its goodness, but you can see it right here. And super easy to make. Isometric work was super easy in Illustrator as well. And to Rufus's point, I should have put them all on one line, and then I could have made a solid font, but you need Photoshop, and you need to do it individually to make a font that's multicolor. Cool, guys? So if you guys enjoyed this, I'm gonna wind down now. If you guys don't have any more questions, other than, yes, you can share fonts, just make sure it's your stuff to share is the big thing. And keep in mind, I actually started with a base font, which I do not own, so I feel a little bit leery about sharing my font, to be honest with you, because I didn't make that original font, which was called Prohibition, so that's my only concern there, guys. But obviously, again, it was pretty easy to do, at least for my own use, in making this design for Make It. All right, Amna, should you buy a Wacom? Yeah, why not? That's my answer for you. And quick shout out. We do have more going on, by the way. Next week, we'll be broadcasting. Just give me 1 second. Wait for it. Next week, we will have a live stream, Jason, on Monday. With Premiere Pro at 1 p.m. and then Tuesday to Thursday we'll have a 3-day stream from Paris, actually on Adobe Live. So just covering all my bases when it comes to announcements, so you guys know what's going on. You can see it right here. Real pros, real projects, real time. So that's happening Tuesday, Thursday. Next week, you can see the schedule right here. You can go ahead and add that to your calendar, and you're well on your way. But that's it for me, guys. I want to be respectful of your time now that I'm Jacordi. I'm trying a hard time. What is it, Jordy? Jacordi? Am I saying that right? I think it's Jordy, actually. But yes, we just said your name. So fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully that sums it up. I think it's pretty straightforward. Just have Photoshop, get Fontself Maker, latest version of Photoshop. You guys are well on your way, and we'd love to see what you guys come up with. Don't forget to check out a video that's going to go live here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button down below, and tune in next week as well, as we'll be live on YouTube and on Adobe Live. So thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys hanging in there on this sunny Friday. Have a gorgeous weekend, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.